You're listening to Hot Topics on Good Mix Radio, hosted by Mike Melody and Sheila Harmony. And each week, they dive into the top trends, pop culture moments, and viral stories dominating the web. They unpack the chaos with humor, sharp takes, and insights you won't find anywhere else.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Wow, the last week of April, huh? It felt like a real pressure cooker of news.
It really did. Just story after story hitting from all different angles.
Exactly. Sports, gaming, global affairs. It felt like something major was breaking every single day.
Yeah.
So we've gathered some of the biggest Google trending topics from that week. We're talking Shedder Sanders lighting up college football, the usual high drama of the NFL draft, the kind of unexpected return of the Elder Scrolls, The Faith, Oblivion.
That was interesting.
The sad news about Pope Francis, and then, FC Barcelona's constant up and down saga.
It's quite a mix. And it's fascinating when things that seem so unrelated all grab our attention around the same time. Makes you wonder, what connects them? Is there a common thread, or is it just the way news cycles work now?
Yeah, what's really going on beneath the surface? That's what we want to explore.
So our goal today is really to look past just the headlines, try and unpack why these specific things resonated, what made them tick.
Exactly. So think of this as your shortcut to understanding the undercurrents of that really busy week.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right in. First up, Shedder Sanders.
Okay. Yeah.
A name that's just huge in college football right now.
Definitely. And he's really, he's moved beyond just being Deion Sanders' son, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
He's built his own reputation, especially since moving to Colorado. That shift from Jackson State, that felt like a big moment, put him squarely in the national spotlight.
And he didn't waste that opportunity, did he? That recent performance we saw, I mean, the stats were obviously impressive. But
yeah, but it was more than that.
It was the leadership, right? You could see him leading the team, making a real difference in that win.
And that's interesting because his leadership, it seems to energize everyone, teammates, fans, and you can't ignore the father-son thing with Deion.
No.
Every little interaction, it just blows up on social media. It becomes this whole narrative that's, frankly, bigger than just the game itself.
It really does feel like a unique story playing out. It makes you think about, what a quarterback is now. Not just a player, but this public figure, this brand almost. What kind of lasting impact could someone like Shedder have, do you think?
That's the big question, isn't it? His skill plus that massive profile, well, it could definitely inspire younger players, maybe even change how programs recruit or build their teams.
Yeah.
It's a story that could have ripples for a long time. Definitely one to watch.
Okay, so speaking of high stakes and potential, let's pivot to the NFL draft.
Yes. The annual speculation fest.
Always so much anticipation. It's this ritual, isn't it? Hope, guesses, sometimes just total chaos.
Absolutely. It's huge for the teams. And this year, like our sources pointed out, that first-round frenzy, it was all about the quarterbacks.
Intensely so.
Yeah. I mean, given how crucial that position is now, teams are just willing to gamble more, trade up, invest everything to get their guy, their future quarterback.
We saw that play out for sure. QB's going off the board early. But the draft never goes exactly how people predict, does it?
Never.
There were those picks that just made everyone go, huh. Fans, analysts, just scratching their heads.
And that's what makes it fascinating, right? The unpredictability. Teams have their own boards, their own plans. They don't always match what the public thinks.
Sure.
It really shows you the high-stakes decisions involved, risk versus reward constantly being weighed.
And it's not over when the draft ends either.
Not at all. Always got to remember the undrafted guys. Some real stars have come from there.
Good point. Talent can definitely pop up anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so from that kind of organized chaos to maybe a more nostalgic surprise, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion, making a comeback.
Yeah. I admit, that one caught me a little off guard, too, the scale of it.
Right.
But it just shows how some games really stick around. And the sources suggest it was, pretty smart timing. Anniversary stuff, plus Bethesda actually releasing new content, putting it on new consoles.
Making it accessible again, that's key.
Exactly. It brings back the old fans and potentially pulls in a whole new audience who missed it the first time.
And it wasn't just like, here's the old game. They actually updated things, added DLC. The community reaction seemed huge.
Oh, definitely. People diving back into Cyrodiil like crazy.
Why do you think Oblivion still holds up? What was it about that game?
Well, it really did break ground for RPGs back then. that character system, how much freedom you had.
Yeah, the customization was amazing.
Right. That level of player control, I think that's a big part of its appeal still. And let's be honest, you can't ignore the glitches and the memes.
True. They're legendary.
They've kept the game alive online for years. It's like this weird, shared digital folklore around it.
The glitches are practically features now. But it's genuinely great seeing people making new mods, talking about it again. It just shows the power of a game that really grabs you.
What about its design compared to modern RPGs? Does something specific stand out?
That's a good question. I think Oblivion's strength is maybe that feeling of a truly open world, the immersion.
Yeah, less linear than some newer ones.
Exactly. It lets you just explore, find your own way. That sense of adventure, that core desire, I think it taps into something fundamental for gamers.
Well put. Okay, shifting tone now to something much more somber and global.
The passing of Pope Francis.
Indeed. News that really resonated everywhere prompted a lot of reflection.
Yeah, it felt like it, regardless of people's personal beliefs.
Yeah.
His time as Pope, it definitely made an impact on global conversations.
Our sources really highlighted that, his compassionate style and several key themes that sort of defined his papacy.
Like his focus on the environment, Laudato Si'. That was huge. And his voice on social justice issues, his work trying to bridge gaps between different faiths, those felt like real hallmarks.
He really didn't shy away from tackling tough, complex, global challenges.
No, he didn't. And his presence on the world stage, visits to the Holy Land, speaking to the U.S. Congress.
Those weren't just photo ops.
Right. They showed real diplomatic effort, a knack for connecting with all sorts of people.
And the reaction to his passing really reflected that, the sheer volume of condolences from leaders all over the world. It showed the respect he had.
Definitely. And now, naturally, attention turns to the Catholic Church, to what happens next, the election of a new pope.
The conclave. It's such a unique process, isn't it? So much history, tradition, secrecy.
Yeah.
It's obviously a massive moment for the church, but the whole world kind of watches that gathering of cardinals, the voting, the smoke signals. It carries a lot of weight for billions.
From that global stage.
Yeah.
Let's switch back to the intense world of football.
Yeah.
FC Barcelona.
Barca. Always eventful.
Their week really felt like sport in a nutshell, didn't it? Some great moments on the pitch, but also all this off-field complexity.
That sums it up well. They had some good wins. Players like Lewandowski, Pedri stepping up, giving fans something to cheer about.
Which they needed because
behind the scenes, there are these significant financial headaches, big strategic decisions being questioned, especially around transfers and how the clubs run.
It's that constant tightrope walk for big clubs, isn't it? Perform now, but also manage the books, plan for the future. It's intense.
Extremely.
And the sources mentioned a rivalry match that really blew up globally.
Oh, yeah. Those derby games, they're always more than just 3 points.
Definitely. They're packed with history, local pride.
And the passion just spills over on the field, online. Fans everywhere pick a side. They become these huge global talking points.
It's amazing how all these different things, sports, games, world news, they all kind of crashed together online last week.
Social media just poured gasoline on all of it.
Yeah. Our sources called it a perfect storm of viral content.
And it's interesting how each platform plays a slightly different role,
How so?
Well, like Twitter is all about the instant reactions, the live updates, then maybe Instagram, Facebook, that's where you see more discussion, maybe some analysis.
Okay.
And TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just become this, engine for creativity around these things. Memes, challenges, funny takes on Shedder Sanders, the NFL draft twists, everything.
TikTok's role is huge now, isn't it? Shaping how we even process news or cultural moments.
Totally. And those memes, the viral clips, they might seem trivial, but they actually become part of how we collectively experience these big events, how we share them.
And behind it all are the algorithms.
Exactly. Quietly shaping what you see versus what I see based on what we click on, who we follow.
So my big story of the week might be totally different from yours.
Precisely. We're in this shared global moment, but experiencing it through these very personalized filters.
So if we step back, look at all these trends together, what does it tell us about, us, about our culture right now? The sources mention this intriguing intersection.
Yeah, the sports, religion, entertainment intersection. It's revealing.
How so?
Well, you've got someone like Cheddar Sanders capturing the excitement of sport and individual achievement. Then the passing of Pope Francis, tapping into faith, global leadership, reflection, and then the pure entertainment factor, the NFL drafts drama, the escapism of a game like Oblivion. These aren't separate silos. They all occupy significant space in our collective attention.
And did you notice maybe some generational differences in what grabbed people?
I think so, yeah. You could argue younger people were maybe more plugged into the sports, the gaming.
While maybe older groups were more focused on Pope Francis?
Potentially. Different demographics just connect differently. The NFL draft, for example, tends to skew younger, more male. Pope Francis, probably a much broader age range, people with religious connections perhaps feeling it more acutely.
And then you have the global versus local thing.
Right, like Oblivion, that has this global gaming community appeal. FC Barcelona, huge internationally, but the core passion is obviously very regional, shows how different audiences form.
So looking ahead then, what comes next? Do these stories just fade, or are there ripple effects to watch?
Well, in the NFL, obviously, we'll see how those draft picks actually perform over the next few seasons. That'll reshape teams.
Right, the real results.
Cheddar Sanders, his career is just getting started, really. That story will continue. And Oblivion, its comeback could genuinely signal a bigger trend. More retro gaming love.
We actually had a quote, didn't we? Something about nostalgia.
Yeah, one source said something like, the power of nostalgia in gaming is immense, and they expect to see more classics making a comeback.
It feels like that's happening already, people revisiting old favorites.
It does. And, the news cycle never stops. Other big stories will pop up, demand our attention. It's always evolving.
It really is. What a week that was, though. A real snapshot of just how varied our interests are. Sports, gaming, global events, faith. All happening at once.
And social media just fanning the flames, connecting people around these stories, creating these instant online communities. You really can't separate the events from how they spread now.
No, you can't. And looking at what trended, what grabbed us, it does give you clues about what we collectively value, or at least what holds our attention.
It says a lot about our interests, maybe even our anxiety sometimes.
So here's something to think about then as we wrap up. You look at the sheer diversity of what captured global attention last week. Intense sports rivalries, a deep dive back into a fantasy world, a moment of global mourning, ongoing cultural debates. What does that range tell you about us? About how fragmented society might feel, yet how interconnected we actually are through these shared, albeit diverse experiences? How do we all find meaning and connection in such different things all at the same time?